Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Luther.
Welcome to the Rangers Journal.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Rangers Journal Falkirk pre-show on today, Sunday the 30th of November. Apologies for our slight tardiness, a little bit of technical issues behind the scenes, but we've got them all sorted now and ready to talk about the lineup which has just come out for today's game and all our other thoughts moving forward. Joining me today, last minute to save me once again from a one-man show is Cammy. Welcome, Cammy. How are you doing?
Aye, good. Obviously, I should be at Ibrox, but we've got a sick Callum this morning, and we very much go to Ibrox as a team. So we'll just be watching it at home. So yeah, fine. Just looking forward to obviously a home game at Ibrox against a decent Falkirk side, and hopefully we can continue the run of wins in the league. I think we'll probably need to play better than we have done recently to get 3 points. But yeah, looking forward to it, Doug.
Good stuff, good stuff. You can send the wee man our best from Rangers Journal. Hope he gets well soon. Just before we kick off, we'll just say your show today is, as always, brought by our sponsor, the famous Bluebell Bar at Puerto del Carmen in glorious Lanzarote. So if you find yourself in Lanzarote, you'll definitely find a warm welcome there, especially if you mention the Rangers Journal name. It's the only Rangers bar in Puerto del Carmen. You can get a family-friendly place to eat or drink, chill or party, depending on what you're looking for. And of course, they show every Rangers game, so you don't need to miss out on the beers while you're away. There's nothing better than sitting overlooking the ocean with a nice drink in hand and sitting on their sun-kissed balcony or finding shade in the main bar if things are too hot. So, as I say, if you're in Lanzarote, pop in and say hi and give them a hello from us as well. We'll jump straight into the team, Cammy, which we've got here. I'm pressing all the wrong buttons this morning. Here we go. So we've got Butland in goal. No big surprise there. Tavernier, Giga, Fernandez, and Aarons, and what I assume will be a back four again. Aarons at left back, presumably. Raskin, Barron, Asgard comes back into the team. Ant-Man comes back into the team. Bajrami in his first start in a while, and Miovski up front. So, if I was to pick a headline, I think Bajrami getting a start would potentially be it. He is a player a few of us have talked about recently in terms of potentially getting an opportunity to shine. What's your thoughts on that?
I think just quickly, I think 4 of the back 5, I think, pick themselves just purely because of availability. So I think it's a toss-up for left back. I would have started Magoma just purely from the balance point of view, which I thought was a factor on Thursday night. Just a natural left-footed player. Bajrami has done well off the bench, to be honest, but he's not really impacted across his Rangers career from the start of a game. He's obviously been talking on international duty that he's not happy with his situation, so he needs to grab it. Essentially, I'm interested to see how it looks, because I thought it might have been him instead of Asgard, but to see both of them in the starting lineup, so I'm interested to see how we set up at 2:00. But Bajrami, any player that hasn't been playing, Doug, just has to grab the opportunity. We can pick holes in certain players, and this player's no good, and that player's no good. This is what we've got until January. Players just have to actually show up and go out on the pitch. Whether we think they're short, medium, or long-term Rangers players, we need to win games. And guys like Asgard have got a point to prove. Bajrami has got a point to prove. Ant-Man's certainly most of the forward players have got a point to prove. And we don't create and we don't score enough goals. So it's up to the 4, I think, that will be the most advanced to do that, to be perfectly honest with you, and get plenty of creativity, get balls into Miovski. But the lack of a left side slightly concerns me. That's my initial thoughts on that starting 11, Doug.
Yeah, that was an issue a little bit in the game midweek as well. Just want to take a moment to thank Jersman64 for becoming a channel member. Shout out to yourself, Jersman. Thank you very much for joining. If anyone else fancies becoming a member, you can do that for just 99 pence a month. We're putting out 3 extra videos per week now, just for members. So if you want to watch those, you have to sign up to do so. We'll be doing on Monday night our Player of the Month and Goal of the Month, which you can get the opportunity to vote in if you're a member. So something to think about, but appreciate that not everyone necessarily has the means to do that. So just liking and subscribing to the channel is a massive help if you're able to do that, if not already. Cammy, a couple of people have posted a couple of sort of talking points. The first being Giga keeping his place. Obviously, there's been a lot of criticism of him lately, and yet again after his mistake midweek. Are you surprised that he's still there, or like you sort of touched on a minute ago, is it simply a case of there's not really too many other options unless we're starting to jig players about? Obviously, some people have touched on moving Tavernier in, playing Aarons on right back and Magoma on the left. I'm assuming that Magoma is being either rested or has maybe got a wee knock or something, because I wouldn't have been in a hurry to take him out of the team prior. He wasn't really making mistakes or anything.
That's the only alternative, to be honest. I think Giga and Fernandez bring physicality, but Giga's last couple of performances, he looks a player completely short of confidence. Tav can play as the right side. So that probably would have been what I would have went for. I would probably have went Tav alongside Fernandez with Aarons and Magoma as the wide players. But it's interesting just looking at comments. I think there's comments. I'm just looking at the bench, and good to see Dujon Sterling there. I don't think he's anywhere near ready to play because obviously he's been out for 8 months, but it's good to see the big man back. So that could become an option. The more training, and they might get another bounce game during the week. So Big Dujon is more than capable of playing at centre half. I just think it's a wee bit early. Rothwell, I think somebody's answered it. The manager said he's been carrying an injury, so I think his time probably is up. But I think if he was fit and available, he would be on the bench to play. And a lot of the comments really speak about that's a good observation. Rothwell can't get fit. I don't think he's looked fit. I think he picked up an injury at the back end of last season where he missed the end of Leeds getting promoted, and I think he's been struggling for fitness since pre-season. Looks like he's pulling a tractor on occasions. I think there is a quality player in there, but he just doesn't look fit to me. Cameron and Curtis I've spoke about previously. I think have to get opportunities, but that's, if the game's going well and we're ahead, then it'd be good to bring those players on, no having to save us, if that makes sense. I just think that we lack goals, and Curtis is a player that isn't scared to shoot. And Cameron offers off the ball running and energy that I think Asgard at this point isn't bringing. So there's plenty of talking points, to be honest with you. You sometimes you do these and you look at the starting 11 and you've got nothing to talk about. But ultimately, Danny Rowell's picked his team. I'm interested to see how it sets up, how we cope. I think he said that he looks at the opposition, which I think the previous manager didn't really do. Falkirk will come and they've got pace on the wings, etc. Shona's saying my worry is not only the defence. I've got a worry about the defence, the midfield and the attack, but that isn't just confined to this game. That is where we are, but the players just have to actually win games. It's as simple as that. This is an opportunity to go third in the table. It's an opportunity to further get closer to Hearts. We play Hearts in 2 or 3 weeks' time. That all we can do is go out on the pitch compete against a decent Falkirk side who will be coming with a support that's a sold-out away support. They will make a bit of noise, and the players will come with a belief that they can. They've been to Motherwell and Dundee United in recent weeks and picked up victories, so they've nothing to fear. There's no fear factor of any side coming to Ibrox now, and that's what Danny Rule has to try to build moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hearts dropping points again this weekend. A couple of people are talking about Asgard. Got John here, how Asgard is starting is beyond me, and why is real persistent with Asgard, hasn't performed at all. Are you surprised to see he's retained his place while, for example, Gassama has been dropped to the bench?
Yeah, I think it is an obvious one. Gassama, for me, had a really positive early 4 or 5 games. I don't think his performances have been great in recent weeks, to be honest with you, but he is probably the main attacking, the guy that you look to try to do something, as much as he is exceptionally frustrating. Asgard, to me, just floats about. He doesn't. He looks a good 5-a-side player to me at the moment. I don't know what's going on in his head, if he's confident, because ultimately I thought the first game after Russell Martin, where he scored the cracking goal against Dundee United, I think it was, he looked free. I think he was restricted under Russell Martin. I don't think there's that same restriction. I think Danny Rule wants players to be creative and be expressive. So we don't have a huge abundance of options, to be honest with you. But these guys just have to show up and just give us our performances. I think Paul speaks about Gassama. I'm not a huge fan of him on the right-hand side. I think he looks far more comfortable on the left-hand side cutting in. But I don't think that helps the balance at times. We'll end up going into a squad analysis pod here, to be honest with you. But Asgard just has to show up. I think there's a lot of people will question why he is starting, but he just has to grab the game, run with the ball. Is the shirt too big for him? Who knows? Is the expectation too much? I don't know. He just has to grab his opportunity, show the talent. You don't get into the Norway squad and play alongside Haaland and be knocking on the door of the World Cup if you've not got something. But he hasn't showed it yet for Rangers. So a lot of players, particularly that front four, have got points to prove. And for us to win the game, we'll need certainly 2 or 3 of them to actually have a good performance, or they won't see beyond 60 minutes.
Yeah, touching on, you talked about sort of Gassama and the side he plays on. Looking at that 3, I mean, to me, this lineup looks like it'll be our standard 4-2-3-1. And given we've got Ant-Man there, I presume he'll play on the right, which will leave either Asgard or Bajrami obviously on the left. My guess would be Bajrami on the left. I don't think Asgard plays as well out there, but it could be either or. You touched on that left-hand side. I think it could end up being really important how whichever one of them it is that's on the left plays, given that we've obviously got Aarons on the left as well. I think Aarons, I did see a couple of early comments about Aarons and sending him back in January. I think Aarons has been perfectly fine since Rule has come in. He's not been great, but he's not been as bad as he was in the kind of earlier days. But then again, in a lot of those earlier days, he was also being played on the left, so he's out of his natural position, and it forces him to cut in a lot to get onto his right foot, which obviously makes things more difficult for him. So I'm willing to cut him a bit of slack. I think he can be a reasonable enough squad player for the rest of the season, but it does concern me that we might again struggle a bit on the left if he's not able to get. I actually thought he did okay midweek in terms of getting forward, which was something I thought he was poor at for the European game before. How big a problem do you think that could be, particularly if Falkirk pick that up early, that we're maybe not as comfortable on the left, and figure out, okay, maybe we focus a little bit more defending on the right?
John McGlynn's a clever manager, so I think they'll have watched Rangers and they'll know where our deficiencies are, of which there are many. I just think that a right-footed left back is okay if you've got a left footer in front of them. So it's always been an issue for me, Doug, that balance in a side. You can't have too many natural lefties. Cornelius being injured is a problem, but going forward, we don't have a lot of natural left-footed players. To be honest with you, Gassama cuts in on his right foot. I want the front four to show up today, but one thing, Ant-Man needs to go past his fullback. He's another one that cuts inside. I want him to actually try to run the guy that he's up against, because he has pace. Ant-Man in that first game that he played, I'm going to say it was Pilsen. I could be wrong. It was one of the early European games. That was the best game that Ant-Man played, and I think he didn't even look as though I think he'd had one training session, but he was just direct. He was just going past the fullback, and that for me is the key for anybody that's playing wide. Get the ball to the wing and get the ball fired into the box. I think we cut inside far too much on both sides. Asgard himself has said that he wants to play as an 8. So I think it'll be, to be honest, Doug, I think it'll be Bajrami playing off the left, Ant-Man playing off the right, and Majowski in the middle. I think Raskin will be the 6, and I think Barron and Asgard will be the 2 8s. That's the way I think he'll try to play it. But you could be right with your 4-2-3-1. I think Nico will certainly be the deep one, and he'll be looking for the other 4 to support Majowski, to be honest. But as I said earlier on, this is what we've got. We can pick holes in individuals. There's nothing we can do about it. Danny Rule has got this squad until January. I hate being simplistic, but that's it. We're not going to gain anything by moaning about individuals. We all know the deficiencies of the squad and the starting 11 and what the squad limitations are. Just go out, show up, and if we show up, we win the game. It's as simple as that. And I think it's important that you win your home games. That's the only way you start to rebuild some sort of fear factor, is turn Ibrox back into a fortress again, where that teams know that they're beaten before they turn up. That's a long way away, but that has to be the ultimate goal, that you know that 9 out of 10 home games, the points are on the board if you turn up.
Absolutely. One of the other talking points, and again, one that's been disappointing for me, Paul brings it up here as well. Lyle Cameron, again, not getting picked here. Obviously, Bajrami, we've talked about getting an opportunity here. What do you think Cameron needs to do? And is it simply a case that Rule maybe just doesn't fancy him, or is he not performing in training? This is a player that last season got plenty, I think 9 goals and 7 assists, I think, off the top of my head, in the league for Dundee. He's the textbook of what we always say we want. He's a Scottish player. He's a young, promising player. We bought him from the league, so he obviously knows the league. All the things that we constantly say that we want and that we need in the team, and yet he just doesn't seem to be getting an opportunity.
He had some positive moments under Russell Martin, showed up well. I like his energy. I like the fact he gets about the pitch. He's not scared to try to get into the box. We've lacked that type of player since Scott Arfield, unfortunately. But you could be right. It might be a case of the manager just fancies other players. But he's going to get an opportunity at some point. He has to just grab it. You have it in your control to change the manager's mind. You go on the pitch when you get the opportunity, and you get that chance every single day. So we don't know what's going on, but Cameron Curtis, I said it early on, and I said it on the news show on Friday. They're two players. I'm not saying that they're going to turn us into the Scottish version of Arsenal or anything like that. But I think they're players that will get opportunities, but they have to grab it when they get it, and change the manager's mind. If there is a doubt in the manager's head, it's in your power when you get the opportunity in training and when you get an opportunity in the games. So we just have to trust Danny Rule. He's the manager. He knows. He spoke about it very openly and honestly. Rangers need to win games of football, and that's going to be on my tombstone when I die. That Rangers just need to find a way to win, and that's true. But I think the performance levels will have to be better than they have been in recent weeks for us to continue for what is a difficult week ahead, a couple of away trips. So I think that's where it's vitally important that we get 3 points today to set us up for a trip to Tannadice and then Saturday night at Kilmarnock.
Absolutely, and that's something he's been doing in the league, is getting wins come hook or crook. So hopefully he can continue to do that. If we do move to the bench there, so it's not sort of read through them. So the substitutes are Liam Kelly, Clinton Enciala. We've got Magoma on the bench again. Sterling making a welcome return. Diomande is obviously also dropped out. Cameron, Curtis, Gassama, and Danilo. Again, no sort of major surprises in there, given the options available, other than obviously the players that have dropped out. Ideal scenario, we're 3-0 up with 15 minutes to go. We can bring Dujon on for a few minutes and start his recuperation. But aside from that, who do you think the key players could be coming off the bench in the game? Be it whatever scenario we're in. The one worry is, how many game changers are there if we need someone to turn the game for us if it's not going our way. But do you think there's anyone in particular for you that will be the important ones?
I think Gassama, to be honest. I think, and I've said previously, Curtis and Cameron. Just noticed that Sharmiti's not involved at all. It'll be interesting to hear what the comment is there. Wasn't particularly effective on Thursday night. So Gassama, Curtis, I'm looking at it and going, right, which five will get on? And I think Magoma will probably get on. I think Dio will probably get on. Gassama will get on. Danilo, and then it'll be maybe one of Curtis or Cameron. The ideal situation that you speak about with Big Dujon, of course. See, I don't want any of the subs to have to change the game. Is that too simplistic? I want to be sitting at 3:15, and we're thinking, right, we're 3-0 up, and we can bring on players to get them half an hour, give them an opportunity. We know pressure, and the players are playing with confidence. We're knocking the ball about, that sort of thing. So we just have to wait and see, Doug. The middle of the park, Nico needs to up his levels. I spoke about it on Friday. I thought Connor Barron was very unfortunate to get substituted. I thought he was the best of their midfield players on Thursday night. Nico hasn't kicked a ball this season, to be honest, for all the noise and all the hype. Nico needs to show that this is he's the top man in the middle of the park. He's referenced it himself, everything that's been going on. But for us to be for us to get to January competitive, we need our better players, and Nico is one of our better players. He's one of our best players. He has to start to show up. He has to start dominating games. His passing has to improve. Barron will give him plenty of energy around about and what have you. And the other three plus Majowski need to create and score goals. And just quickly, while I'm finishing my budgie seed and I can't talk, is the Hibs match is irrelevant. Every match is irrelevant, to be honest. We can observe what Hearts do and what Hibs do and what have you. It's what Rangers do. We're in a position, because of the points that we have dropped to this point, control what you can control, and that's going out on the pitch and winning games. So it is irrelevant if we don't do our business. If you don't take care of yourself, then it's irrelevant. Hibs and Celtic could draw. Means nothing if Rangers draw or get beat.
That's it. It's ourselves first and foremost. Absolutely, like you say, it doesn't matter what they do if we don't do our business. But it certainly helps if they drop points, though. But
no, to be honest, without a doubt, me and the wee guy spoke yesterday, and we're looking at the fixtures, and I said, I draw Motherwell Hearts, I draw Hibs Celtic, and Rangers to pick up 3 points. There's your weekend, and then you move on to 2 away games, and then you try to win on Wednesday night, and you try to win on Saturday. It's very simplistic. That's the way. But Rangers we can only control what we can control. Other teams dropping points is great, helps us move up the league. Totally get that. But if we don't turn up on and off the ball today, we'll no win the game.
Yeah, the other thing I think that can be important, if the games are before you, it can give an indication of what that level is. So, just as an example, Hibs were below us in the league until they scored that goal, and they're now above us again in the league. So, because of the goal difference, so things like that can come into play. I was going to move on to talk about sort of a little bit about actually the kind of what's around us, because one of the other key points, like you sort of touched on, that we can get into third if we win this match, and that'll also be third with at least one, and in some cases two. In fact, now I'm looking at this, in Hibs' case, 3 games in hand as well, which is a big thing. Obviously, does in your mind, does that put more pressure on the team because these other sides have already got those points on the board, and so we're in a position of, right, it's all great and well going, oh well, we'll be second if we win these games in hand, but does it put more pressure on the team because they then have to go and win those games on hand, or is it just a case of, well, it doesn't matter because we should be winning all our games anyway?
We've had difficulties across recent years, across different managers, where even when we were in a title race, I can recall Celtic dropping points in the 12 o'clock game, and then we played at 3 o'clock and we couldn't take advantage of it. So this has been an issue for Rangers for a number of years, Doug. You don't know what the messaging is within Danny Rule's team talks and tactical sessions and what have you, and what the mentality is within the dressing room. I hope that everybody's got a similar mindset to myself, that you just control what you can do, and that's going out and winning. And if you can go and win 5, 6, 7, 8 games on the bounce, that does breed confidence, and then that allows you to. But we can't look too far. We can't look beyond today and winning today, and then you go to Wednesday. It is very cliched, game at a time, but where Rangers are at the moment, we're nowhere near good enough that we can look to a difficult January, which it is on paper, but that's me looking forward. But that's just looking at it from what we've actually got, if we can remain competitive until the turn of the year.
We've got a question from Paul. He's asking, why can't we bring in free signings and get their fitness up to speed for January, rather than bringing a player in January who's hardly played, and then we'll take a month or so to get up to speed. I think there's a couple of aspects to that. First and foremost, in terms of why don't we bring in any free signings, there needs to be good free signings to bring in, and I'm not really convinced there are. For example, a lot of people, I saw a lot of people for quite a while talking about, was it Jamal Curtis? Was that his name? I think it was Jamal something, an English fullback, who is a decent player, but he's a free agent because his injury record is horrendous. And I don't have to look far about bringing in players with bad injury records at Rangers, and that not turning out well. And in terms of the idea of bringing in a player who's hardly played, I mean, that is an option. We might end up bringing in players that obviously aren't getting minutes at their clubs, and so we're bringing them in either on loan or whatever else. That could be a thing, but we could also just sign a player from a smaller club who is playing well, and we're able to get them in January. So it's not. I don't think it's it's not died on the wall sorry, that everyone we bring in January won't have had minutes and thusly needs to take some time to get up to speed. That might be the case, but there'll be a mixture, I would assume. I have no doubt probably some players we bring in might be ones that are on the fringes of whatever team they're at right now, and so yeah, maybe they do need a bit of time. But I'm sure there'll be some that are maybe in and out their teams, so they're still match fit and ready to go. They're just, again, not getting as much minutes as they want. Or, like I say, we should be. There's plenty of leagues and teams around Europe that are smaller clubs than us, but maybe in bigger leagues, because obviously that's one of the issues we have. We're a huge club in a little league. There's plenty of small clubs in big leagues where the quality and things is maybe a little bit better overall, that we could be looking to bring in. I think that's one of the big disappointments that people have had about us so frequently shopping down south. Not only because of the value proposition that perhaps isn't there in the English leagues, but also, as I say, the fact that there's plenty of decent players to be found, as Hearts have shown, having brought in some quality. So, yeah, any thoughts on that yourself, Cammy?
It's interesting. I'd seen somebody on social media talking. They obviously scan the RTV videos, and I think they'd spotted a couple of players that they thought were on trial. But I've not seen any names or anything like that. There could be people that are training at the Rangers training centre with a view to assigning somebody that is maybe out of contract or being a free signing. I do have a concern that you're signing somebody that's not kicked a ball really competitively since, say, the end of May, August, or like months ago. That's not ideal. I think that January, trying to bring in players early, you might have a view to signing them on a pre-contract, and somebody that's right. I think we'll say the boy Watson at Kilmarnock. I think he's out of contract. I'm not advocating we sign him and he's going to do the business, but you might come to an agreement with Kilmarnock if he was the type of player, and then you could bring him in. He's been playing every game, and then that's somebody that just comes in and hits the ground running. We know, but there's so many things needing fixed. There's so many. We could improve all areas of the side. I don't think there's any issue with regard to that. We just January feels like ages away, to be honest with you, Doug. I spoke about it on the news show on Friday. Centre half, centre midfield, and a striker. That's my wish list across the next two windows. If we can improve the spine. My worry with Watson is that does he go into the same another bench filler like
Cameron?
Like Cameron, no doubting he looks a decent player for what I've seen for Kilmarnock, but we really don't know. Sorry, I've just picked up Curry's comment there.
Welcome back, Curry. Nice to see you.
It's like Tav is on this wall. He is actually the only current player that's on these walls from the 55 season, But Cifuentes, I have absolutely no idea where he actually is, to be perfectly honest with you. There's some
Toronto, I think it is.
So I often wonder how he's coping with the winter across there, because he didn't really fancy a Scottish winter, so I'm intrigued. I don't think we'll ever see him back in Glasgow, to be honest, but it's January. We just have to wait and see. Obviously, the sporting director situation, I'm interested to see. Spoke about this on Friday, how Danny Rule goes about identifying players. I don't think he's going to get carte blanche like Michael Beale did back in 2023. I think he'll work with the recruitment and this, but I'm hoping that he makes use of his contacts in Germany. He's going to know a lot of people. See, even if it's just guys that know the league, we just need to sign good players.
It's easy. It's easy. Rangers just sign some good players.
But that is the situation. That's what we've not done well for too long.
Yep.
If you sign good players that are adaptable and have physicality and can pass the ball and can move, it's not difficult. It's no rocket science. But we managed to do it, and that's the thing that has to improve for Rangers to be competitive again. We have to start signing better. We have to start signing players for a purpose. My one wish would be bigger players with a bit of physicality. We've got too many wee guys in the team, and I think I'm not saying sign guys that are just going to kick and boot and all that sort of stuff, but we physically aren't a big side, and I think that's an issue that to be competitive in Scotland and to win league titles in Scotland, you have to go to St Mirren and Tannadice and all these places, and you have to match up the jobbers, as I often say, because ultimately that's what these sides are. We should be, without being disrespectful, and it is disrespectful. That one was especially for Billy because he likes that one. But we just need to start signing good players, and I think Danny Rule has shown enough that he's got a bit more about him on early inspection. But we just sign good players, Rangers. That's all we ask.
Absolutely. I was talking about this with my friend a little bit earlier, just before the show. I genuinely think if we got a really good centre back that can sort of lead the defence and a striker that can reliably put away goals, that would totally change this team. It wouldn't be the fix, but it would certainly be a start and would help us push forward.
Scotty will testify. Since I joined the Rangers Journal, I have spoken on probably every single pod about a stronger spine. If you get a stronger spine, you can build around that. We don't have a strong spine as it stands. We have a decent goalkeeper, but everywhere else we're not strong enough, and you address that across the next two windows with quality signings that can do what we need. I suppose everybody's looking for it, but that's why we have highly paid recruitment and sporting directors and all that sort of stuff. And we have Super Ali nailed it when he said we haven't improved any position with the players that left, with the players that have come in. But this is what we've got. It is not a baby blue onesie, it's a hoodie I'm wearing, Curry. So it's but this is what we've got until January. Just go out, show what you've got. If you're going to be a Rangers player beyond January, then, or you want to go somewhere else to get more football, you have to show it on the pitch. Nobody's going to sign you if you're not kicking your backside. So it's in Rangers' interest and it's in the players' interest to perform better.
Absolutely. As null FNC, we have strikers that can score goals in theory. That's a pretty big theory, I have to say. I lack of creativity is a part, but I don't think there's no one that could tell me if Dessers was still here that he wouldn't have 6-7 goals by now. He'd have missed the other 6 or 7, but he'd have scored 6 or 7. We definitely, as I say, definitely need someone that can reliably put the ball in the net.
We don't create enough chances, but the chances that we do take, I think we're in a position where I think you could combine the three strikers that we've got, Chermiti, Danilo and Majowski, and you probably still wouldn't get a competent Rangers number 9. And I joked on Friday that Super Ali, age 63, would probably score more goals than all three of them. And Ali's spot on. The recruitment has been appalling, but there's nothing more we can do about that. I seen a stat that I think Joshua Barry had done, and it was quite depressing.
If that's the one I think it is, I have a slight issue with it in some way. Because that's that. If it's the one I think it is the open play XG assisted. So open play XG assisted. So that's obviously first and foremost only open play. So you're taking out all of your set pieces for starters. And I would argue that that makes things slightly worse because our set pieces are generally above average because Tavernier takes most of them and he generally is above average. But then it only includes goals where the final player in the move took a shot. So in terms of analysing the players from a chance creation standpoint, you're partly relying on that final player to have taken a shot from the chance that was created for them. And as we know, our strikers are useless. So if you look at it in terms of, if you compare that stat to then just the pure chance creation stats, it's not quite as bad as that graph makes it seem. It's still bad, but I just feel like it makes it look all doom and gloom where it's just doom. The gloom's not. The gloom's not.
There's plenty doom and gloom. Hopefully this is the last home match that I do a pre-match. To be honest with you, it's like, to answer Curry's point, is it worrying that he's using underperforming players? This is the squad that he's got. He's seen the players. He can't pull a player out of nowhere if they're not there. He's just seeing what is on the training pitch. So I think we need to move the ball quicker. We need to get the ball wide. We need to get the ball in the box far earlier and no cut inside. Keep it simple. Ask the wingers to go past their fullback and get the ball in. And then give Majowski opportunities to miss. If that's
it. That's it. It's about giving, give them more opportunities and from more players as well, because I think we really lack quality delivery in this team, which is a huge problem. I genuinely struggle match to match to see anyone putting in quality balls other than Tavernier. A lot of them, like Gassama, his running's great. He harries, he bullies his way through players now and again. But a lot of the time he gets forward and then he just kind of stops for a second. And you can literally see the cogs turning as he's trying to decide what he's going to do. Well, is he going to cut in and that kind of slows moves down. And then by that point, he then loses the ball and things like that. And like I say, Asgard has really not shown much. Ant-Man cuts in, which was great in Eredivisie because he was cutting into more space. Whereas in Scotland, he cuts into banks of four. So he ends up running into dead ends. I think a better decision making is going to be key. If Danny Rule can train in a bit more better decision making in some of the players, which isn't necessarily to say that they're bad at decision making, but I think some of them maybe need to change their decision making for the Scottish game because they're playing, or at least the Scottish game as a Rangers player, because they're playing these teams that are going to sit in more. So like for example, Ant-Man, I want to see him, instead of cutting in 9 times out of 10, 4 times out of 10, take the wide position and go out and hit the byline and try and put a cross in rather than cutting inside. And I think he would get more joy out of that. It would certainly create more chances because right now, as I say, he tends to run into a dead end. So I think changing some of those things, which you're only going to do with repetition, training. Obviously, players have their sort of favorite things that they like to do. So, if you're a player like Ant-Man who likes to cut in a lot, you need to kind of train that out of them slightly, which unfortunately takes time. But yeah, I think we need to see a bit of that. But anyway, I think we've covered as much as we can for now. thanks everyone for watching the pre-match. We'll be back after the game, of course, to go over what will hopefully have been a routine win for Rangers. I really like to get back to that time where we just go to these games and have nice routine wins. But yes, we'll see what happens. As I say, a win, like Cammy says, can get us back up the league in the third, so that would be a nice way to end the weekend. So hopefully they can do that. Any last words or indeed a prediction from me for you today, Cammy?
No, I'm just sitting hoping for a Hibs goal in the next 20 minutes before Rangers kick off at 2 o'clock. Although that would be the ideal, ahead of Rangers winning by a couple of goals. So I just want as routine a home game as it should be. I don't think it will be. I think it's important that we score the first goal, whilst we're not creating enough chances and having to need 2 goals to score. Try not to give anything daft away at the back. Hopefully the set piece coach is maybe managing to get us another goal for a set piece today, because when you're not creating from open play as much as you would want, I think it's important that your set piece delivery, corners and free kicks, and your routines is on the money, because that can limit the deficiencies that you have if you're able to get goals from other, which is part of the game. But if you can't get goals for open play, try and get them for set pieces and stuff. But 3 points up the road, and that's all we want, and take us into 2 away games. That's so I think we'll win. I think we'll win 3-1. To be honest, Doug.
3-1. That sounds good. Good to me. I'll take that. James is going for a routine 2-1 slog. I nearly misread that there. A routine 2-1 slog. I would take that as well. I'll take any win that gives us the 3 points, to be honest. That's the most important thing. But yep, hope everyone enjoys the game. Hope it's a solid one. Tune up for Paul. I'll take that as well. And as I say, we'll see you on the post-match. Just remember that every night is a Rangers Journal night. Thanks, guys.
Every night is the Rangers Journal night.